Good morning, everyone. This is for my Zoom classes, my Zoom Com 101 Zoom classes. I'm doing something a little differently today. Rather than you looking at me, I'm looking at our course site. This is for one of my Zooms, so do not get confused if you see a different date. I have 4 different Zoom classes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But the rules apply to all of them. The thing to remember is that these Zoom times together are really for you. It's the design of the course to give us a authentic public speaking experience. When you tape record, it's not as good, and when you write it out, it's not a speech. So it's important to be together. The good news is that we have more Zoom classes than speeches. So this week we're doing informative, and then we do the rhythm. We have a peer review the following week, and then the next week we're doing persuasion, and then we have, let's see, what do we have? We have semester break. Yay! The thing I want to tell you about semester break that has come to my attention is that Blackboard, which is the platform on all your classes are built on at Bristol Community College, will be down for some of those days in spring break. So if you are planning on making up work during spring break on Blackboard, you might want to be preemptive and get the information off of it. So if you have to read something, or you can do a written assignment, like for example, if you're behind on our speeches, you can prepare because you don't need necessarily your course space to get preparation done with writing out your notes and picking your topic, etc. But just be aware of that. And then we move right into the peer review. After that will be due, and it's a slow pace. And then the personal experience brief opinion speech. And then we have, the last day for student-generated withdrawal is April 9th. So if you know anyone in our class or in any classes that you know that really haven't been participating, then it's time for them to withdraw themselves. You don't have to wait to this date when you know it's not going to work, and there's no reflection upon you as a citizen or a good student. It can happen to anyone, especially if you're in a modality that is just not working. For example, ours. This is called synchronous hybrid. It has worked for some, and I'm glad it has. I like the model, but it wasn't for everyone. The good news is with Com 101, there were many choices, and the college was accurate in describing this. So you did sign up for something that maybe wasn't fitting, and that's a good lesson for all of us to be really careful of what we sign up for. The same thing has happened to me before at other schools when I picked a time and I thought it was going to be a certain way and it wasn't, and then I had to decide, do I live with it and just do what I'm supposed to do, or do I withdraw? And sometimes withdrawal is the only way that makes sense. And then you'll see that we have that peer review, and then on our week 11 we have a Zoom class with nothing. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have things planned I'd like to do with the group, because I do, but that's also a good place for makeups. So don't be upset if you're not, if like today you can't be here. We have an ebb and flow of the class. I want these all on Zooms. I want an audience for you. And fortunately, we do have students that will hang in there with us. And even if it's a small group, it's really better than no group. So I appreciate it. I know some students have dedicated themselves and are sticking to the plan. Others, through no fault of their own, the plan was not working to come for 7 Zooms. Okay, so you see we have time. That's what I'm trying to say to you. We have the time, so when you tell me you can't be here, I'm never going to be upset with you, because I'm assuming you want to be here and you want to be with the group in real time, because that's the excitement. That's where you're going to get the most support. You know, the coursework, like the journals and the discussion boards and the textbook, are support for you, but the real support comes from each other, and from like enthusiasm being infectious, and watching each other's presentations. You know, you see your own style of delivery, and then you see others, and sometimes we learn off of each other, or we elevate the types of speeches because of the group. I've noticed that even in the news speech 2 weeks ago, the students were getting better and better at finding authentic topics for them and being really careful that they were being true to themselves. And when we do this as a group, it makes a big difference. I know there's nothing really to watch right now, but I was just going through the calendar because I get a lot of questions during the week. And many times the answer is, I say, well, just look at the calendar. People want to know when things are due, that sort of thing. Over here on this side of our coursework, you can see, just like what we have over here, is the text is here. The text is a wonderful text in so many ways. And you look at, you don't have to wait for me to assign a chapter to you for you to look in this text. There are chapters that I won't be assigning that you might want to look at. When we had this week, we had chapter 15, or maybe it was last week, but I wanted you to look at the informative chapter. And if you go to this here, you'll set the color version. If you want to go into the supplemental chapter resources, it's always there for you. And you might find in these supplements, there's more information that helps you. And also maybe you find a topic for a presentation in there, right? There's a lot of extra, and I love that. So this is your textbook to use. And over here in the textbook itself, I like the way they lay it out. You are going to probably be reading and understanding more about rapport and building a connection between yourself and the audience, similarly as you did when you were writing in your English 101, the rapport between the writer and the reader. So there's a lot of similarities. As I go through, not that I don't think you've read it, but it is user-friendly. And at the very end, they do give you some ideas, some suggestions, possible speech topics. And sometimes it's within there that something clicks. I noticed that in the new speeches had so many great ideas. I'm hoping some of you will will elaborate on something you've either begun or on something that someone else has begun. So do look at the text, do look at the calendar. And the last thing I wanted to show you is the final exam, because I've been getting a lot of questions about the final exam. The final exam has been created, but you will not be receiving it until the end of April, beginning of May. But you'll get at least 2 weeks, and it's going to look like this. And right here it says which chapters that are being covered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And there are 50 questions. And these questions, if you will, are matching. And they're matching from the definition of the focal points and the focal points. So those key words or vocabulary words are what are you going to be quizzed on. So as you start the final exam, you'll click here, and then you'll go down here, and you'll continue. And this is the actual final exam. And then there are 2 multiple answers and 48 multiple choice. So let's look at the first question. Question 1. This is it. The question 1. The process of taking a mental image, associating the image with words, and then speaking those words is called. Now, this is the definition that's in the back of those chapters. So when you see the focal points, those are key words in the vocabulary for that chapter I want you to pay attention to. Look at the definition. This is not how we usually talk. So you'd have to look at this and say, okay, everything I read in that chapter about those words, which one is going to match this? And your choices are A, listening, B, decoding, C, speaking, or D, encoding. Okay, so then you pick it, and what you're going to do for every 150 of them is you'll go over here and you're going to save your answer. And you can work through this and you can come back to it. It's saved. So you can reopen this. If I give you 2 weeks, you can keep going back. You don't have to do it all at once. And then you will just continue like that. So I want you to show it to you so that you feel comfortable and confident that you are in control of this final exam. The major portion of your time in this class is on the speeches. That's where your energy should be on. And finding content that you feel comfortable so that you are practicing at your best place. You know, that you are giving your best for you, because this is really to support you in the future. So your experiences, that's why this synchronous Zoom hybrid is such a good model, because you are being put on the spot, but in a controlled way. And also, I noticed that students using the chat during the Zoom, I encourage that. But don't feel badly if someone doesn't chat about your particular speech. Like, everyone comes from different places, and it doesn't mean they weren't enjoying it. In fact, I noticed in the um, in the journals that so many students had such great things to say. And I know you didn't say that about each other, but you didn't say it in the chat. In that moment, you weren't thinking about that. But so don't interpret it as if you did something bad or something wasn't right. I want to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you about. The final exam, I showed it to you. Oh, Blackboard will be down during the spring break. I don't know what days, but they told me that it would be in. Make sure you stay with the group. But don't worry if you miss today or you miss last week. You can catch up, and your responsibility is to get in on these Zooms. So I know some students say, can I do it another time? Anytime I splinter off students, I do it under rare occasions. It's not a good practice for me. It's not good for me because it ends up ruining the brand. It ends up ruining the pot. So please know that your work and effort is really appreciated. It is a private journey you're on, but you're doing it in public with others to help you, to inspire you, I use the word it's contagious to be in a room where everyone is really being authentic. And maybe that's not a good word because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Maybe the word I should use, it's infectious and it's very stimulating. All right, I think that's it for now. I just wanted you to know that. Oh, and also, although we really haven't had this problem in most classes, but just as another reminder to make sure you shut off your microphone. Every so often, I have a problem. I haven't had it lately. All right, everyone, be well, and I will see you on Zoom. And again, we have more Zooms than we have speeches, so you can get it in. And I do not take attendance from Zoom. I take attendance by the discussion boards. So when you're going to be away, just get that discussion board done. All right, right. Honestly, the semester is flying by. It's the end of February. When March comes, it seems like it goes by really quick. And then in April, you'll be picking your classes for the fall or moving on to another school. So I hope everyone's well.